Yeah, it's on solid. I got this Monday night game on the Patriots and the Giants.
Mm-hmm. All right.
All right, let's see. We got everything pulled up. Okay. All right, so we're gonna do tag team me and you. Like we got about 22, 23, and growing. So we'll just go ahead and do our normal thing. All right.
All right. All right.
So, there we go. Let me open up. We can see the comments. Here we go. All right. Good evening, Panther fans, and welcome to edition of the Four-Man Rush. I'm your main man, Kevin Avery, aka Country Kev. Running cover two for right now. Got my main partner here, Conardo Greg James. Um, we're here to discuss the Panthers' big win yesterday at Bank of America Stadium. At this time, the number one seed, 9-2 Los Angeles Rams. And in what turned out to be cold, damp weather, looked like the Panthers went back in the time machine a little bit and did a little bit of what we're known for was some key pounding. We'll get into that here. First of all, I just want to say thank you all for supporting the Four-Man Rush. We really appreciate it. I know it's been a while. I know we've been kind of hit and miss with our podcast this year. We was trying to do it on just spaces only, but was just having some difficulty. So we went back to our original platform here. That way we have everybody on from our Foreman Rush Facebook group, on our YouTube channel, and on Twitter as well. So appreciate everyone joining us here tonight. So let's just hop right into it. The Carolina Panthers improved to 7 wins, 6 losses by winning yesterday by the score of 31-28. For me, it was probably the best game I've seen in person, probably since the 2017 season. Last game that it went down to the wire that was thrilling like that was that game against the Minnesota Vikings. That was also a game that went down to the very end. That was a game where Jonathan Stewart broke off that long untouched touchdown run. That was a game where Cam Newton juked the defender out of his shoes and broke off that long quarterback run to set up the score. That's the game I'm talking about. But anyway, man, the atmosphere at the stadium was amazing. It was cold. There was a little bit of rain that came through, made it kind of damp, but nothing too crazy. I was dressed and prepared for the weather, but overall, I mean, it was just, Coronado was just a great atmosphere, man. Like I was telling you before we came on, it had some 2015 vibes, and the way the Panthers were playing on the field, man, it was like this is a team I know we could be. We just got to see this week in and week out, But hey, we'll take it as it comes. So we definitely want to make sure that we do what we got to do. So you was at home, or I don't know if you was at home at work, Coronado, but tell me, what was your impressions of the game yesterday?
Man, I actually wasn't able to catch the entire game, but the part that I did catch, man, was just definitely a heck of a game. As you said, it was probably one of the biggest victories at home that we've had in a while. This is probably our second biggest victory that we had this season, just this season. Obviously against the Packers in Lambeau Field. That was a major victory, and then you have another one here with the Los Angeles Rams, where not too many people were picking us to win, and it was just a group effort. You had several key players out on defense. You had Morg, he was out as a safety. You had Horn, he was out. Several other pieces as well. So not too many people thought that we could come into our stadium and pull this off. And lo and behold, man, when I did look at the score, when I was able to look at it and I saw it was 21-17, I was like, wow, what I'm saying? We're actually in this. We're fighting, making this a competitive game. And really, that's all that I asked in the beginning. Hey, if we can make this a competitive game and maybe squeak one out, later in the game, that'd be cool. But for us to actually go in there and actually win this football game, that was just astounding, man. Major victory. I think it's a great morale booster. And it's just one of those type of victories, man, that it really carry on the next few weeks. A lot of us were saying, I know myself personally, I said 8 or 9 wins. That would be a big success. Some people were saying 7, 8 wins or whatnot. And I hate to get a little too ahead of myself here or of ourselves, but man, you look at the schedule. Obviously, you got Tampa Bay twice. You have Seattle. You have New Orleans, who we play next. Could we run the table with this thing? I mean, is possible? I'm putting that out there. So, but just there's so many players that actually played a great game. It's just like you can't really give the MVP to one person. You have Bryce Young. Let's just throw it out there. He did his thing. Just over 200 yards passing, 3 touchdown passes. No interceptions. He's just, right there on the money. When we needed him on the 3rd down passes, he completed those passes. He did his thing. So for the Bryce Young haters out there, hey, you got to give him credit. And I even saw some Bryce Young haters earlier today, say, they had to give credit where credit was due. He did do his thing. Then you had Hubbard. So many people counted him out this season. He was battling the injury and he came back from that. He looked strong, had over 80 yards rushing. He had over 40 yards receiving. So, he really did his thing. He was running the ball hard. It's the best that I've seen him look this season after the injury. Rico Dowdle, he did his thing, 50 yards rushing, so he kind of, kept the running game going for us. And then probably the one that I was most impressed with on offense was Coker, who had a great game, just a big touchdown catch that he got. He had about 70 yards receiving. So he had a great game. And then, of course, that last play, our boy Derek Brown, who's the MVP of the team, I think, right now this season, where he had that strip sack and put us in position, to kind of drive down the field and ended up closing the casket on the Los Angeles Rams, the best team in the NFC at the moment. So there's a lot to be proud of. Got to give it to Dave Canales, too. He had a rough game, calling it last game in San Francisco, but, he redeemed himself. It was a well-balanced game. He did a great job. Evero, you got to give it to him too on defense, man. Like I said, all those pieces that were missing, for him to go out there and just lead those guys to victory like that, man. He did an amazing job. So this was just a team effort, all hands on deck. Everyone did what they were supposed to do. We had to play a perfect game in order to win this game. I said that going in. I said these guys have to play a perfect game. It is what it is. And for them to pull it off and them to have that type of game, like I said, just like you said earlier, I feel like there's no one that we can't beat for the remainder of the season. I can't say enough good things about this team right now. Very proud of them, where we are. But as Kobe Bryant once said, God bless him. The job's not yet done, not yet finished. The job's not yet finished.
What is that a smile
Job's not finished.
Job's not finished.
Job's not finished, man. So we got some more football to play. And I know, like I said, a lot of people are saying 7, 8, 9 wins or whatnot, but it could turn into a lot more than that this season. You could be looking at 11-6, and we're finding ourselves in the playoffs here. That's where we're at right now. We do control our own destiny. So that's what I got to say about it.
Yeah, real quick, let's just go ahead and shout out our fans who have been waiting for us. We got Mark here from our YouTube channel. Say, hey, what's up, fellas? Been a while. Again, our apologies. You know, life been lifing for all of us. I've been watching y'all from the beginning. Y'all are the best. Hey, appreciate the love.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, most definitely. Thank you, Dad. Also known, Time One Brandon Miller. What's going on, Kev? Hey, just glad to have some meaningful football to talk about and not no, draft prospects and stuff like that for once. Freddie Figueroa, Big Kev. Hey, what's going on? He says also, I know it was electric in that stadium. It definitely was. Like I said, I was getting 2015, even 2013 flashbacks, man. It was definitely good energy in the stadium yesterday. It's like weather was not a factor for the fans, long time spark plug of the fan group, Mr. Luke Cage here. What up, Big Kev? It's been a while. See, man, I be telling y'all when I in the chat, man, our fans been missing us, man. You see they're definitely making it known. Again, what's going on, fellas? It's been a minute. Hey, like I said, life been life, and we're apologizing, but we definitely gonna do our part to make sure we get back to being consistent on a week by week basis. That's moving forward. That's gonna be our goal and our commitment. But let's get into this game a little bit here, Bernardo. So for me, that opening kickoff, I was like, oh boy, here we go. I mean, the Rams were pretty much set up, at the 50-yard line, and they proceeded to march right down the field and get a opening score touchdown. I was just like, oh boy, here we go, But it was, but it was a 6-play, 35 yards. I think there was a penalty added on to the Gator Rams. I mean, just absolutely amazing field position. But you know what? Carolina came right back and scored a touchdown. The touchdown pass to I think it was like 35 yards to Chuba Hubbard. I mean, Canardo, that was a thing of beauty, man. When you saw that play, tell me what you was thinking as a fan.
Actually, I did not see that play. Like I said, I missed the first half of the game, so I was able to see that, man. But Hubbard did have an amazing game, man. Like I said, it was just good seeing him back in form. He's a lot of people have been critical of him the last several weeks. He's been working his way back in, but from what I did see, man, he was very electric for that play. So maybe you might want to go over that with him.
Yeah, it looked like some sort of flare screen because he had linemen out in front of him, but it was real quick. It seemed like he just looked like he went lateral for a while, and then Bryce just threw it to him. And he had like 2 or 3 blockers ahead of him, man, and he went untouched for 35 yards. So it was definitely a great response by the Panthers after the Rams came out and got the opening score. And then again the next drive, the Rams drove again, got down to I think like the 5-yard line, and the next play that happened was I think it was on like 3rd down, and my boy Derek Brown, who's leading the NFL for defensive linemen and pass deflections, deflected a Matt Stafford pass. I think it was to the tight end number 84, and Nick Scott ended up getting it. Man, you talking about a huge, momentum swing, man. I mean, that thing was huge, and we was able to come away and prevent them from scoring. Now, unfortunately, we went 3 and out after that, and the Rams got the ball back, but this time, Mike Jack, he got a pick six, and man, he didn't do like he did against Atlanta. This time he took it all the way to the house. By chance, did you catch that play?
Yeah. That one. Now that's one by guy that's been, he's definitely stepped his game up. Some people have been critical of him as well, man. But he definitely took that back to the house, man. And he had a great game against San Francisco. He's one of those ones that stepped up, when you had Horn missing and a few others. So big shout out to Mike Jackson for real, man. Now we might have something on our hands with him.
Yeah, I mean, we always said I think he's been like a top number 2 corner. I think a lot of his criticizing was just, it's a couple times he's like, "Come on, Mike, what you doing, bro?" But overall, I mean, once again, I think he's top 5 again this year in pass deflections. So, hey, I'm glad that we signed him. I think he's on a 2-year deal with us. So, definitely glad he's on the squad. I mean, when we think about it, look who was missing in the secondary yesterday. Our number 1 corner, J.C. Horn, our all-purpose safety, Trevor Moorick was out, and we did enough to win. So that was definitely impressive. Here, let me get a quick shout out to Tyree Ross. He said, "What's going on, fellas? Been a minute." Hey, so Canado, when we get back in the chat, man, let everybody know we've been missed, bro.
I sure will. I definitely will, man. It's showing a lot of love tonight, man. Gotta love it.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Definitely. So I was just like, you know what? We got a chance to upset these boys, after the pick six. I'm like, they came to play today. Like, this wasn't, oh, they 9-2, we're 6-6. Nah, they was just like, they came, prepared to give a battle and win. And like you said, we would have been content with a good solid effort, but our team actually had other plans. And I'm glad that, we didn't let injuries be an excuse. Shout out to the coaching staff to getting our depth players, ready and, stepping up and, making plays. I mean, it was just great to see just an all-around team effort. Everybody had their fingerprints on the, on the victory, man. It was just great to see the team rally around each other. They refused to, be intimidated. They refused to, just roll over. And it was just good times. And I know a lot of people were talking about how they heard the Panther, how they in the stands, they heard us yelling, "Keep pounding," in the third quarter when we had the ball. And that was because the fact that, when the rain started picking up a little steady, and I'm guessing, keep, the ball from, being so slick, we just turned to our ground game. And Canardo, it was like old school football, man. I was seeing 2 tight ends. Bro, we even started using a fullback. We put Tommy Tremble at fullback and just started lining up and running the ball down their throats, man. I'm like, okay. And then some fans just got together and was like, man, that's our identity. Keep pounding. And then the crowd just, one side said keep, the other side said pounding, man. And it just, it was like that for a few minutes during that drive. And I really think that, the normal decorum is for, the home fans to be quiet when the team was on offense. But yesterday was different, man. It was just like they really fed off the energy.
Yeah, it's like that sometimes. And I know you were saying that definitely seemed like the team was really feeding off of that energy. So, well, it's only weird if it doesn't work, right? That's what they say. So the fans were into it. That's the most excited that they've been in a while. And here we are in December. We're actually playing, meaningful football. When is the last time that we could say that? When is the last time? So, man, just hats off to Dave Canales, to Dan Morgan, to Evero, to everybody involved, all the coaches, all the players. It was almost like Buster Douglas going into the fight with Mike Tyson. You know what I'm saying? Nobody else believed that he can win, but he believed that he can win. And he went in there and he knocked Mike Tyson out. Right. So leading up to that fight, man, it's just leading up to this week. The team, they didn't let the injuries, get to them. Hey, we can beat these guys. They're the number one team in the NFC, but we're bad in our own right too, and we handled business. So here we are. Big victory, man.
Yeah, and can we talk about how effective, for whatever reason, and I'm definitely not complaining, how we've been on fourth down. I mean, the fact that not only did we convert 2 fourth downs, but they went for touchdowns, bro. I mean, how I might need to look into when the last time a team scored 2 touchdowns on fourth down plays. Like it was it was crucial. The touchdown to Jalen Coker was on fourth down, and the touchdown to Teteroy McMillan was on fourth down. I mean, you know how what kind of guts, what kind of confidence you got to have, and not only your coaching staff to get you in the right play, but in your players to feel like, hey, we're going to play for to seize momentum, and and went out and did that, man. I mean, it was just man, and then
And I just want to say,
and then it was in the fourth quarter.
yeah, I just want to say for those that say that Dave Canales doesn't trust Bryce Young, just look at those 2 plays right there, those fourth down plays. For those that are saying that he does not trust Bryce Young, no, that right there should be all the evidence that you need that he absolutely does trust Bryce. For him to have his ball in his hands, at that moment on fourth down on those plays and to make those big throws that he made right there, that should show you that he has all the confidence in the world in that young man. No pun intended.
Right. Yeah, and I'm sorry. That was the touchdown to Coker was the start of the third. I messed around and said the fourth, but just to go over the plays, Bernardo, where the fans were yelling, keep pounding while the rain was going on. We got the ball at the kickoff, and we had Dowdle with a 3-yard run up the middle, and then Dowdle off the left guard for 4 yards, so that made it 3rd and 3. Chuba comes in and get those 3 yards for the first down, so that's 3 running plays. And then start off Dowdle again for 2 yards, Dowdle again for 3 yards. You know what I'm saying? So now we're in 3rd and 5. So we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. Yeah, 5 straight run plays, to start off the third quarter. And I think that's what got the fans into yelling up, keep pounding. And then on that drive, Coker got hit for 16-yard pass. And what did we do after that? Went right back to Rico Dowdle, 6 yards. He got stopped at the line of scrimmage for no yards. Chuba came in and got 1 yard. So it was just the fact that we was just committed to the run, and it just was like, it was just like establishing our identity all over again.
Yeah, that's our identity. Just pound the rock. That's who we are. Obviously you have to pass the ball every once in a while, but that's pretty much our identity. It's just pounding the rock. Running that time off the clock, which they did a good job of that, and kept that thing rolling. So, like I said, when it was a perfectly called game, it was definitely a perfectly called game by Dave Canales. I've been critical of him at times. As far as his play calling, especially last game against San Francisco, which I didn't know what the hell he was doing. But he redeemed himself. He redeemed himself in a big way. So he deserves credit where credit is due. So definitely tip my hat off to him for this game. Great call game. And hopefully it goes into the next game. Hopefully it does. We'll see. That's we'll get into that a little bit later. But that's been our Achilles heel after a big win. But like I said, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
And you just talking about his play calling. I mean, we had the ball for 60 plays, and when the last time we had this ratio, we ran the ball 40 times and we threw it 20. That's a 2-to-1, ratio of runs over pass. Like this is what I've been hollering for all year. Like at the least, the very minimum 30 carries, rush attempts a game, but to run the ball for 40. And I know, you don't see the big 150-yard type, numbers behind all that. But what you got to realize is that, those runs were tone setters. We was coming to let them Rams know, yeah, you good. Yeah, you got all these stars on the team, like on the defense line, like Vrace and Brandon Fisk and, guys like that. But today, that you a man like we a man, and I just like the way we just took the fight to the team. We didn't shy away from, showing our identity about who we are.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that Canales did promise us at some point. Even coming in when he first got the job, that we're going to run the ball. That's kind of what he promised us. Then you go out, you get Rico Dotto. Obviously, you got Hubbard there, so very capable runners right there. And you kind of saw what we can do. Last game. Hubbard, like I said, he had about 80 yards or 70 yards, or I should say, rushing, and then Rico Dowdle, he had about over 50. So at some point, it's this, you just got to keep pounding the rock, and then something's going to happen. It kind of wears down that defense after a while. Kind of got to lull them to sleep a little bit, and then you throw that pass. So, you kind of got to be consistent with it. Then that'll open up the passing game. But that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, because Chuba had 17 carries for 83 yards, right at 4.9 yards per carry. His longest run was 10 yards. Rico Dowdle, actually, believe it or not, had 18 carries for 58 yards. Only 3.2 yards a carry, but his longest was 17. Bryce basically got all of his on one play, that great fake to the right, and he bootlegged it back to the left and picked up 24 yards. He ended up with a total of 23 yards total because, he was taking the kneel downs at the end. But overall, 40 carries, 164 yards, 4 yards to carry. That's type of play calling says identity and attitude. Not the big explosive plays, running plays that we had seen, earlier, but just steadily chopping that tree down, steadily, punch you in the, you a big boxing fan, them body blows. This was a game of body blows, you know what I'm saying? And, taking it to the body of the Rams, and like I say, wasn't nothing flashy, but it was consistent the whole game.
It was very reminiscent of a boxing match, and then another boxing example is for every haymaker that they throw at us, we threw one right back. We kept on throwing haymakers at it. It was definitely an exchange for a little while. And until we came out with a knockout blow, and that's something that they couldn't answer for. Even Sean McVay, even he said that. So, it was definitely very, very reminiscent of a boxing match. They gave their best shot until they blew their wad per se. At some point, they blew their wad, and there was just nothing more that they could do. So, hey, that's what it is, man. You came into the ring in Bank of America Stadium. We protected our house. But big shout out to the Rams, man. Sean McVay, he didn't make any excuses at the game. One of the reporters asked him if they were unprepared this week, if they kind of took it easy, and he's just like basically said any given Sunday. So you got to give Sean McVay definitely some big props for that. Didn't make any excuses. Gave our coaching staff props. Gave our players props. So definitely still a fan of his, man. I got a lot of respect for him for that.
Yeah, he's basically saying, got to give them credit. They made enough plays to win, and he was right. He's like, we definitely, moved the ball well. He said tip pass caused the interception. I should have gave Matthew some more options outside of that out route that, Mike Jackson picked six, and then he said, their leader, Derek Brown, came up, with the play of the game as we was driving the score, and even on the third down conversion to ice the game by Coker, he said 3rd and 5, we had a chance to get the ball back, but they stepped up and they made plays. So, Sean McVay had no problem, giving props to for Carolina, so that's definitely, it's definitely good that a Super Bowl winning coach could, say that about us. Just looking at this comment here and by the way, you guys, I see it's currently 162 people in here watching us. Again, appreciate it. Thank you for standing by us. Thank you for being patient. Feel free to drop your questions, comments in the stats. In the chat. We'll definitely try to get them answered for you while we're on. Here, got this comment by Corey McKinney here, Coronado. He says, if he didn't trust Bryce, talking about Canales, we wouldn't have the most fourth down plays and conversions in the NFL on the year. LOL. That's true. For some reason, I'm very confident whenever we go for it on fourth down.
Yeah. Going back to Riverboat Ron, you know what I'm saying? He used to, gamble and go on those fourth down plays as well. So I definitely missed that. But Canales, he's not afraid to go for it every once in a while too. Hey, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, that's cool. But you got to gamble every once in a while in this league, man. That's what it is.
Right. And this is a great question here. We can discuss this a little bit here by Freddie Figueroa. He says, do you think we should blitz more to try to get that pressure we can seem to get to the QB consistently with four? Looks like you meant to say we can't seem to get to the quarterback consistently with four rushes. Here's the thing about that with players like J.C. Horn out and Trevor Morritt, you want to be careful about blitzing without your star defenders in there, because even with them in there, all our blitzes have been timely blitzing. Evero has never been a heavy blitz type of guy. So I think he's more strategic, more, timely with his blitzes. Like Bernardo, I don't know if you had a chance looking on Twitter here. Coach Baldy, right? Brian Baldinger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, he absolutely loves Derek Brown, and he did a breakdown yesterday. He was showing that on that play that was the sack fumble, how the Panthers had three defenders on one side and Wanham all by himself on the other. They did an overload, but what they did was they had Derek Brown, who was in between the center and the guard opposite of Wanham, do a end tackle loop all the way around. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's creativity. That's not lining up in your usual alignment and doing a tackle instant. That's having Big Derek Brown go all the way from the opposite guard spot to the opposite outside tackle spot to get the sack strip fumble yesterday. And so, for all the criticism and frustration with Evero, like, when players are able to execute, you get plays like the one we had, yesterday to pretty much seal the game here for us. So, if we're going to be loud with the criticism, we need to be loud with the praise.
Hey, and I'll be the first to say it. And he might not be around next year because he might be a head coach somewhere. So just keep that in mind. We might be looking for a new defensive coordinator. He was in the head coaching conversation at one point, and that's going to return if he keeps on calling games like this. If he keeps this up, all he needed was his pieces around him. We've all been critical of him at some point, but he's got to a point where he's healthy. He's got his guys out there. Obviously, Derek Brown, that being out there, him. We see how special he was to this team, and he got paid what he deserved. So let's just end that right there. But he might not be around next year, guys. Might be looking for somebody else. So enjoy him while you can.
Yeah. My only thing is, I think that with Evero, I think he's the team's Rooney Rule high candidate, because they have to interview a minority coach in their process. And I just unfortunately, I just think that, the coaching opportunities he got was strictly like, you never got the inclination that any team ever considered him as a finalist to take him seriously. That's just my own personal opinion and vibe based on the off season whenever he was called in for interviews. That he's the Rooney Rule guy. Hey, we got to interview a minority before we hire our guys, so let's call Evero. That's just how I feel. But looking forward, the team is in a bye week, so it's gonna be a little weird after seeing 13 straight games on a Sunday. Well, 12 on a Sunday, 1 on a Monday. But the Panthers get a much needed break. It's been a while since we've had a bye week this late in the season. But it's definitely coming at the right time. I'm hoping that we get our players back from concussion protocol like J.C. Horn and the linebacker Charles. That's why they was out with concussion symptoms. Hopefully, we can get Cade Mays back, who was out. I think he had an ankle, if I'm not mistaken. But the biggest one I'm hoping is able to come back is Robert Hunt. Um, the leader of the offensive line. The tone setter. The one with the attitude, with the juice. I just really feel like that if health allows him to, um, come back and be his regular self, that's going to be a huge, huge boost because we're down to our third, sometimes fourth string, person at that right guard spot. Because if I'm not mistaken, Zavala is on IR for the year. What's the other one? Got Kurgan, number 74. He's been doing an admirable job. It's pretty much been a turnstile this year at that right guard position. So if we can get Robert Hunt back for this crucial playoff stretch of 4 games, I think that'll go a long way to helping us get that goal of running the table, as you said, Cornado. And I'm not scared to say it. I don't apologize for saying it either. I'm with you. We come back healthy and focused and hungry. We owe New Orleans an ass whooping. But that's a divisional rival. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be in their dome. Always a tough place to play. Again, not taking anything for granted. I want a healthy win in New Orleans. As much as I want to say blow them out the water, because you know what? Since they won against us, they haven't won a game since. So, like they say, we need to beat their ass for old and for new.
That's just something that has to happen. And I would love to see a blowout, man. Just think of where we could be right now if we would have won that game. Just think of where we could be right now. A completely different conversation that we're having right now at this moment. So they deserve it, man. And if they're not pissed off right now, this team, and getting ready for this, for this New Orleans team, which is it's going to be tough. It's in the dome. It's going to be tough for sure, man. But man, just be super focused and let's focus on New Orleans because we know what they're capable of. They did beat us last time at home, which is very disappointing. But like I said, I'm going to stand by it. If we beat the Los Angeles Rams, there's nobody we can't beat. I'm standing on that. You can beat Seattle. You can beat Tampa Bay twice. I feel that deep down in my soul, man. So, handle business, man. You can't lose to a team like this twice. That's come on, man. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely cannot. Right. And I'm with you on that. They still got weapons. They still got the wide receiver Olave. They still got Kamara. As much as it hurts me to say, Tyson Hill has always seemed to make plays when he play against us, like when he comes in, whether they use him as a running back or however, man. It's just that guy just hurts my soul the most. But this is don't let the record. This is a division rival. They hate us as much as we hate them. So for them, it's nothing would make their season more than saying they swept us. So they can say at our very worst, we still swept y'all. So no. We need to bring out belts to asses for this game, and establish that from the very jump. So yeah, that's definitely where the focus is. But then after that, we got back-to-back final 2 home games. Tampa at home the Sunday before Christmas, and Seattle at home the Sunday after Christmas. So, we need to handle business because I definitely don't want a Sam Darnold team to come here and ruin anything for us. I know Seattle's been playing pretty solid, pretty good all year. I know what's his name, the wide receiver out of Ohio State, Jackson, and I can't think of his name. It's got three. He got three words to his last name. You know the wide receiver I'm talking about, though, right? The one they took real high.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but yeah, I'm not even going to attempt that. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, he's been playing like amazing, So, was Jackson Smith Enigma something along those terms, but yeah, and then, the Bucks, somehow they just find a way to to win. So, we just need to handle business. Like I said, first of all, we need to get healthy and focus. A lot of teams do they self scouting. We need to figure out what plays work and which plays don't, and really, get us in position to where we should have the mind frame that we got to win out, and not so much just for the record saying 11-6, but to just show that we can be the consistent team that we haven't been able to stay all year. We're 7-6 for a reason. Canada, I'm thinking, the team that showed up against the Rams, I think that outside of the Patriots game on the road and the Bills game at home, that same Panther team that showed up for the Rams, that team that's been playing all year, I think we would have been 9-2. That team would have beat the Jaguars and Arizona to start off. That team would have beat the 49ers this past Monday night. I just really think that, one thing that's about us is that we're consistent at being inconsistent, which seems like to be the trademark of this franchise. But I really want to feel like that we're slowly turning the page and getting the type of culture and the type of, momentum going in our favor.
Yeah. I mean, we have a chance to prove that. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you got a chance to finish at 11-6, man. Right there. Just win the rest of the games, man. They got to be locked in. That's the most important thing. They got to be locked in. Mm-hmm. So, there's no more, just playing to your competition. You look at the Saints and they haven't won another game since they played us. So you can't look at it like this as a 2-win team. They are a division rival, just like you said. They any given Sunday. That's basically what it is. This is their Super Bowl next game. This is their Super Bowl against us. So they will love nothing more than to ruin the rest of our season by beating us and by saying that they swept the Carolina Panthers. So
during their worst season.
If that's not locker room material, I don't know what is. I don't know what is, man.
Yeah. And we got James Popo York saying Hunt coming back would be huge. Yes, it would be. Freddie again saying I'm coming down to one of the Tampa Bay games. Hope to see you there. I personally been thinking about if we got something to play for on the line, because I'm always at all the home games. I wouldn't be too opposed to trying to go down to Tampa for that first Sunday in January when it could be for the division, And I think he's talking about the Saints. It's like they live just to play good against us. Yeah, I definitely agree. So, but main thing I want us to do is next 2 weeks is focus on getting healthy and getting ready for this playoff push. So Cardano, any other comments you have?
Man, just very excited. Like I said, this is the first time in a long time, man, that we're playing meaningful football in December. You know what I'm saying? We have a chance that, let's not just look at let's get another win or two here and just finish 9-8 or something like that. We have a chance to actually go to the playoffs here, guys. Y'all know how special this is for the Carolinas, for the organization that put so much work into this. Hey, you guys deserve it, man. The fans need to get excited. Just like you saw how that stadium was rocking, let's keep this going, man. It is what it is. So hopefully the team, they have a chance to redeem themselves. They've been up and down all season. So I'm definitely very excited about this game, and it's going to show me a lot. I'll be paying close attention to this New Orleans Saints game. And if we win the way that we're supposed to, then there's no doubt in my mind that we can go all the way. We can win out the rest of the season and then punch our ticket into the tournament. That's my thoughts right now, man. I'm thinking playoffs at this point. I'm not thinking 8 or 9 wins and just going with that, even though this is an improved team, improved record, but I think we can do a lot more than that this season. And we're getting healthy at the right time too. Man, there's no telling what this team could do.
Yeah, I agree, because if we run the table at 11-6, not only do we win a division, that's also a home playoff game in January, which we haven't had since the 2015 season. And on the 10th year anniversary of the 2015 season, I definitely wouldn't mind some January football being played at Bank of America Stadium,
Hey, get your tickets right now. They're about to get expensive. Get your tickets.
Yeah, I already got mine set up on auto draft. For whatever reason, we win a division and get a home playoff game. My ticket is automatic.
and for everybody else out there, if you want to go to a football game, one of these last 4, get your tickets right now.
Right. Yeah. Well, man, Canardo, man, I appreciate you joining me once again here tonight, man, and want to thank all of our fans that left comments in the chat. It's about 9:17 right now. I got to get up, of course, early, probably about 4:30. I'm supposed to be driving up to the Roanoke area, but I got a winter weather advisory talking about some freezing rain and stuff like that. So I'm definitely going to be paying close attention, because if I don't feel comfortable, I'm definitely not driving no 18-wheeler on no freezing rain. That's absolutely a no, especially up and down some mountains. No. Kevin Avery don't play like that. So definitely some decisions to be made in the early morning hours for me. But yeah, man. But on behalf of the 4-Man Rush, I'd like to thank each and every last one of you fans that stand by us. Again, we don't take it for granted. Thank you for showing the love. Thank you for letting us know how much you missed us. Saying we're definitely going to make a commitment to, come to you guys every week and let you and join us and engage with us and tell us, how you feel, what you think about, how the team performed, things of that nature. So definitely looking forward to it. So again, on behalf of everyone here at the 4-Man Rush, this is your man, Country Kev, joined alongside with Canardo James here. We want to say thank you guys. We'll definitely catch you guys out on social media, whether it's Facebook or whether it's Twitter. We look forward to interacting with you guys. But y'all have a good evening. Stay warm, stay safe, and main thing, keep pounding, and what a rush.